Yeah. So like
How they say it in Portuguese, they say "O homem está na casa."
and
And you
What's that
guys are like,
Portuguese
what
for?
does that translate to?
That's Portuguese for the man is in the house.
Oh, the man is in the house.
Oh,
Excellent.
right.
Oh, I thought it translated into Aaron doesn't have a soul.
Well, we all know that. That's
What's going on, guys?
Oh, very good, sir. Thank you, Tony, very much for joining us. It is great to see you again, even though we saw each other last night at the
Yep.
probably the spectacle of the year at the Jake Paul Nate Diaz fight, which was very interesting to watch. It was actually pretty cool where we were because we got to see Summer Slam, UFC card going on, and the Jake Paul fight all at once.
Yeah.
It was like talk about overstimulation.
Yeah.
We could see every single combat sport that was happening for the day. So I thought that
entertainment from everywhere, pretty much. Yeah.
No, it was pretty.
Shout out David. Shout out Pure Gold, Tony. Shout out Pure Gold.
Pure Gold. Yeah.
We're for the record, we were.
Yeah.
For the record, we were not at Pure Gold, but
no. Not sure what that is, but anyway.
Oh yeah, I'm sure you don't know what that is, Tony.
Yeah.
We're at a fine establishment of Dave and Buster's, so but we're not
okay. It was actually
sense.
Future home of grappling arts will currently be held in the rear entrance of behind Pure Gold. Is that true or false, Tony?
That is false. We are not moving there.
Yeah.
As tempting as it may sound, we will not be opening up a gym adjacent to Pure Gold.
Yeah.
No, we will not be. But I will say though, if we did have midnight jiu-jitsu classes, the divorce rate at grappling arts would be through the roof.
Yeah, they might be busy. Yeah, they might be busy.
Honey, what do you mean? There's this new midnight classes that they have on Wednesday nights. They have Wednesday privates.
Free steak and everything.
With free steak and everything in the champagne room. What do you mean?
Yeah.
So I will start the show off with kind of like a semi-apology, but it is what it is. It happens and all that jazz. So we recorded an episode probably, I don't know, five months ago or whatever. Yeah. And everything got busy. It got crazy busy. Mike thinks it's a huge conspiracy theory, but between businesses being starting, I'm being overrun with a bunch of things because Michael has no help on this podcast whatsoever. And anything.
Because how many things have you given for me to do here? Like,
so
you're like, no, I'll just do everything myself because I'm Aaron.
So you can't do anything. You can't help me. That's my problem. So anyway,
you got problems.
Anyways, we recorded an episode that has not been released yet, and I intend. So this is what's going to actually happen. So I'm going to release the unreleased episode, so the lost episode first, and then, or no, I'm going to release this one, and then I'm going to release the next one right after. It's going to be a double back to back. So one day, bang, and then the next day it's going to happen. Okay?
Well, I think you should. You should release the old one first because I might get confused watching them
okay, well, I'll do that. I'm going to release the old one first, and then it's going to be a back to back. So
it might tell us. It might tell a story.
Yeah, so we'll do a.
There's going to be far too much Tony Isaacs in that one though. In the next two
might
podcasts,
lose half of our followers, but that's okay.
Yeah,
we'll lose one follower out of two. Who the hell even still listens to us? That's what I want to know.
Oh, there's quite a few. We still get lots of views, so it's okay. We're gonna keep pumping it, and that's how we're gonna roll. But awesome. So let's just kind of like talk with the present and more than anything. Tony, you just came back from an amazing trip from Mongolia. Let's talk about that first because who gives a shit about the Nate Diaz fight? It is what it is. I don't really want to get too far into that.
I know we got to cover that. Come on.
But how was Mongolia? And then we'll backtrack a little bit.
Mongolia was an interesting trip. It was our first time traveling that far with a team. The performance of these guys is probably not what they would have wanted to do, but you have to take into effect that we traveled a very long way to get out there. Some of those guys landed in Mongolia and 2 days later were fighting. So it was
No time to adjust. No, nothing.
yeah. So
No.
I mean, to give you an example, you know, when I got back to Canada, it took me literally 4 days to really come around. So, you know, I was disappointed in how you know, the adult group did, but then when I got back to Canada and I saw how long it took for me to come around, I started to rethink, you know, some of the stuff that they were going through. You know, I saw some matches that I thought, you know, I couldn't believe it was happening in front of me. But, you know, at the same time, I'm not on the mat where they are. I'm not seeing what they're seeing. I'm not going through, you know, what their body is going through at the time. So you got to kind of, you know, considering some of these athletes, I look at a guy like, say, a Michael Sheehan, who's been on this team from day one and has performed amazingly. And he'll be the first one to tell you that he didn't have his best performance there. But, you know, again, like I said, when you think about, you know, the travel and, you know, everything involved, you know, I can't blame any of these guys for, you know, how well they, you know, how well they performed or didn't perform. But when you take all that away, and what it made us feel like is, I think we need to treat this team, that being Team Canada, a little bit more seriously. Normally what we do is we run a national championship, and then based on who the team is, we set up a couple of training camps, 2 or 3 of them, and we allow the guys to train with one another and kind of get to know each other a little bit. And I think that maybe that's not enough. I think that maybe we should be training all year round. We know who the national team is now based on who performed, who competed in Mongolia. And we're going to try to come up with something where those athletes can train with some of the other athletes across the country to see if we can raise their level, but more importantly, B, you know, maybe recruit other athletes who have the potential of being on the team, you know, and see how that comes around. I think you know, at the end of the day, guys do like to cross train, and if they think they're going to learn a little bit from that, then, you know, why not, right? So, you know, there's a lot of things we got to do.
What do you think are some adjustments? I think we talked about it a lot offline, but like, what do you think needs to be done to kind of like raise the bar and compete even more at? I know there's been a lot of success with the international team, but like, what do you think needs to be done to kind of take it to the next level compared to like a lot of other countries like Kazakhstan or others that are, you know, they have people essentially training full time? Like, what do you think needs to be done here in order to kind of like raise the bar?
Well, I think these guys do train a lot. And, you know, we've been really used to having, you know, your professors be the ones who help to bring you to that next level. But when I look at sports like, say, judo and wrestling, like, for instance, wrestling, you'll have a team like Team Impact and another team like Matmen. When they get ready for international events, there is no Matmen, there is no Team Impact. It's just Team Canada or Team Ontario, and they all train with each other. It doesn't matter what gym it's in. Nobody's worried about one instructor trying to coerce the student to come over to their side. There's none of that's happening. It's you know, these guys train where they train on a regular basis because they live in that area. And, you know, that nobody looks and says, oh, I need to move over here because it's better over here. Nobody does this. They just train where they train. And when it's time to cross train, there's no problem with cross training. There's no coach out there who's like, oh my God, I can't let my Matman student go to Team Impact because, you know, he might leave me. Like, there's none of that in wrestling. Yeah. And I think that we got to find a way to make that not happen in jiu-jitsu.
Do you think I think you hit the nail on the head. I think that's maybe why there's an issue is, do you think there is like a little bit of that going on where it's like maybe some athletes are looking at other places and going, hey, you know what, maybe the grass is greener over here. Like, what do you think it is that's kind of maybe stopping that progress? Or do you think that's what one of the main issues is? And then how do you remedy it if that is an issue?
I don't know if it can be remedied because that's the culture of BJJ. That culture was bred that way right from the beginning. So, you know, you have an instructor who, you know, puts all their time and energy into an athlete. if that athlete decides to go their own separate ways, it really hurts the instructor inside because they feel like they gave them everything and it still wasn't enough, so they left. So I don't think that that will change too much on the instructor side. I think it's the athletes who need to say, hey, you know what? I'm Gracie Humaita, and that's who I'm going to be unless they kick me out. But I should be able to feel free to train wherever I want, because nobody's going to convince me to go anywhere else. I should be able to cross train and pick up things here and there, and then go back to my team and share it with my team. You know what I mean? Like that's how I think. That's how I feel about my jiu-jitsu. Is I can, I don't think there's a gym out there. There's too many gyms out there that won't allow me to train with them. And they know that they're not going to be able to change the patch on my chest. So I think it's the individual, it's the athlete that needs to step up and make those types of decisions. But, when you're young and, you're that blue belt that wants to become a purple belt, and, you feel like, oh, if I change gyms, that's what's helping to get me over the top. How am I going to, how does a coach compete with that? You can't. So, at the end of the day, I don't think you can change the instructors, but I think if you can change the mentality of the athlete, a lot of people leave and go to different gyms for a lot of different reasons. Some of them are valid and some of them maybe not so valid, but at the end of the day, they pay the money to go to that gym. So they should be able to do whatever they want. And a coach can like it or not like it, but I think that if there was some more loyalty on the student side, it would be much easier for people to cross train. And I think that's part of the problem.
So
Aaron is a creonch. What are your thoughts on that?
Aaron's welcome at our gym anytime.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Because he's a dirty creonch.
Okay,
we allow dirty creonches at our.
And I had a conversation. It's like, what is it with you? But anyways.
How many teams have you left? One? How many teams have I left? Exactly. That's what I thought.
I moved. Okay. Fuck
off. Oh, you moved. Okay.
But anyway,
moved.
Okay. But yeah. And again, I had a professor who was very understanding of those situations, and we could have that conversation, right?
Yeah.
So and again, this is an opinion based, right? What's the mentality like? We say like, yeah, it's up on the students to change the mentality of, growing as a person, to kind of find the courage to ask their instructor to do these types of things. But what's the reluctancy of the instructors? Is that an old school trait that's just not being bred out? And then eventually it's just going to, as new school owners come into play, like this will get a little bit more socially acceptable? Or is it just kind of like, this is what we're dealing with for now and that's it?
Well, I think the biggest thing I would say is, I'm cutting everybody off, is, as instructors, you're probably worried about losing students, but then you're also losing business. So at the end of the day, like if you have a jiu-jitsu school and it's a business, if things like that are happening, like I think people are worried about like, oh, if student X goes trains at student Y, they're going to go over there, right? And then they're no longer going to be a member at Academy X, for example. I think that's probably one of the major reasons. But Tony, like, what are your thoughts?
Well, I mean, like I know for a fact that there's some instructors out there I will not name, but they're at their right to feel this way, that they do not like their students cross training at other affiliations, other gyms, other teams, if you will. They don't like it, for a lot of their own personal reasons. Some of them I agree with, some of them I don't. I've always been at a gym with Danny and Sil before him, where I could go wherever I wanted to. The only thing that they asked was that I wore my patches, and I did that very proudly. I remember there was a time when I was a blue belt where I would train at Jocelyn's MMA in Hamilton about once a month, sometimes twice a month. And Jeff would open his doors for me to go and train, and I had all my patches on. I didn't care who tried to kill me or not try to kill me, because I feel like when you go into somebody else's gym, I think you should act accordingly. I think the first thing I do when I go into somebody else's gym is I pick a white belt and I just have fun with them, let them pass my guard, let them feel free, because all of the killers in that gym are watching you to make sure that you don't hurt their student. And once they see that you are cool, man, they're cool with you. They don't try to kill you and they roll with you. You end up having a great experience. And, as a person who has spent a lot of time, a lot of experience of going to other gyms, I think that if you just act accordingly, people will treat you well, and they'll have nice things to say about you after the fact. So, I know a lot of people will kind of go into gyms and dojo storm to try and see if they can beat up their best guy. And I don't know if that's always the best thing to do,
Aaron's been doing that on the regular ever since we
Yeah.
opened. Is that true?
Of course. Every time. I find
I've had to
smallest
check you
white belt.
multiple times. I've had to check you multiple times for recording devices, a wire, headphones.
Every
Like, who
time.
knows what you're recording and bringing back to the other academies that you're training at, Aaron? I don't think I think you're training at multiple academies. I think you're not even just training at the one.
I think I am, actually. I've gone to quite a few. It's actually quite nice.
It is. It's quite liberating,
And
isn't it?
these guys keep inviting me back. They're a bunch of fucking idiots.
Little they know, you're recording them the whole time.
They don't know nothing. Maybe
Yeah,
they
but you
know
know
now.
what? Like, I just think that it has a lot to do with how you carry yourself when you go into somebody else's gym, and if you do that with respect, you'll get respect back. That's part of the reasons why I could probably train pretty much wherever I want to, and pop in and and not have an issue with training because of how I carry myself when I'm there. So I think if everybody just did that and respected the gym that they come from by actually wearing your patches. I've heard stories where when people go to other people's gyms, they wear a blank gi because they don't want people, they think it's disrespectful to wear your patches in somebody else's gym. I think that's the craziest thing ever. I think that people are going to want to know where you're from. But hey, to each his own. I wear my patches wherever I go. And, I don't have an issue or a problem because, I'm respectful with the students that are there.
You hear that, Aaron? Wear your patches.
I wear my patches all the time. I have 2 different patches and I wear them both, so it doesn't matter.
Wear that. We'll have some patches for you, Aaron.
Oh, okay, sounds good. All right, so big thing though, Tony, that we talked about last night was we got 22 Canadian kids heading out to Kazakhstan very shortly.
And what the fuck? What the fuck is that country? Kazakhstan or Pakistan?
Kazakhstan.
What did I say?
I think your Z was silent.
It's the audio. It's the audio. It's the audio today.
Kazakhstan? Like, I'm pretty sure if I looked on the map on a globe somewhere, I wouldn't find that country.
Perfect.
Yeah, we have between the athletes, coaches, parents, there's 37 people traveling to Astana, Kazakhstan, starting on the 17th or the 18th. They'll be out there competing at the World Junior Championships for under 16, under 18, and under 21. And we have a handful of killers on that team. I'm really excited to see how they do. I don't want to overstate myself because we've had some killers go before and not medal. So the competition is definitely tough with some of these countries. The UAE, the host country, Kazakhstan has a great team. Russia is back. They're off their suspension. So, Russia is going to have a dangerous team.
Juice to the gills.
Yeah. So, their ban has been lifted by WADA. So, I mean, it's going to be a tough tournament, but I think that we have, some really, really good athletes, especially at the under 16. We have some really good killers, Zain Chaudhry being one of them. Obviously, he was at my gym when he was from the age 6 to 10, and he was always really, really good for his age. So I'm excited to see how he does. There's a handful of other kids there at different age groups. You got Juliana Wong, who's the #1 ranked girl in the world right now. And her brother is no slouch. The purple belts at Fernando's gym always cringe when they have to roll with this kid. So I mean, yeah, he's the team is very good. I myself won't be traveling to Astana this year. I've left Patrick Truel to lead that ship. Being a gym owner and having a full-time job and everything else going on in my life, I can't be at everything. So sometimes I got to release the reins a little bit and let somebody else run with it. And Patrick's been very willing to do it and has been doing a great job. So I expect that the team's gonna do well. We'll see in a couple of weeks when they get back how they actually do.
Perfect. Is this the biggest team that's going right now?
As a junior team,
As a
absolutely. Last year we were in Abu Dhabi, and I think we had 6 kids. It was nowhere near what we could bring. So I think what happened was after the Worlds last year, and our kids did really well in those junior age groups. In Abu Dhabi, they ran the juniors and the adults together, the tournaments together, whereas this time they've been split. So, but after that tournament, there was a real push for wanting to send a junior team. So we really made it clear that we were going to be looking at juniors at nationals for the under 16, under 18, and under 21. So we actually ran those divisions. And we were shocked at how many people signed up to compete. And then once they got their spot, basically they were signing up right away and saying, no, we're going. And, I'm a big fan about trying to help them pay and help pay their way to get there. So we do cover their registration to participate, but all these families covered their flights and their hotels to go. So it's been a huge undertaking, and these parents have put in a lot of money to see their kids compete at this level. So I'm really excited to see how they do. And dealing with adults is it's its own baby, but when you're dealing with parents of children, it's that much more difficult to be able to navigate, keep everybody happy. So it looks like everything's on the right track, and we're looking forward to seeing them leave next week and go over there and kill it.
What would you like to see more, maybe from like a support at a government level for a lot of these athletes? Because you just mentioned, like, I know I'm probably opening up a can of worms here, but you just mentioned that, like, a lot of athletes are covering their own flight, they're covering their own hotel, covering their food, their training, all these things, where I think in a lot of these other countries where they may not even have to worry about a lot of that. So what are some things you would like to see either the provincial or the federal government in ways of support?
Some of the stuff that I've been told from the other countries is stuff that we can't compete with. Like, I'll give you an example. I was having lunch with one of the Israeli coaches, and he basically told me that not the federation, but their government, the adults who win a gold medal at the World Championships gets $25,000. If you place second place, you get $10,000. If you place, 15, and if you place third, you get a bronze medal, you get $10,000. And in addition to that, if they keep their ranking up, they get subsidiaries. So they get a salary, they get something like $1,200 a month. And, that money is just to help them, so that maybe they don't need to have a job. They can focus on just training.
Yeah.
With regards to the UAE national team, their national team trains all year round, trains together. I don't know whether or not they get paid anything, but none of these athletes have jobs. Their job is they get up and they train jiu-jitsu all day long. They have lunch and they train jiu-jitsu in the afternoon. That is their job. they do 8 hours of jiu-jitsu every day. So part of the reason why that UAE team is so good is just that they are a professional jiu-jitsu team in my eyes, and it's hard to when our athletes do well against them, it just bodes a lot for our technical evolution, because you know none of our guys train as hard as these guys do. They don't have the ability to, they have a life that they have to live. So they got all these things in their way. They got a job, they got to pay rent. These athletes in the UAE don't even need to worry about that. So we're up against it. So having said that, there is some plans out there that you can our athletes can get. I know that there's a quest for gold here in the province of Ontario. I've been so busy, I haven't really had a chance to sit down and look at it, but I know some of our athletes are looking at it, where they can receive funding, and it has a lot to do with how their ranking is internationally. So if they're kind of ranked top 5 in the world or whatever it is, that they could actually get funding to help subsidize their ability to train.
Perfect.
So
that's a start.
it is a start. Of course, there's a lot of hoops that our federation has to jump through to make that happen. But I'm slowly trying to tick all the boxes to get there. I think that it's important that our athletes, realize that doing something like this is a benefit for them. It's not a benefit for me. So all I ask in return is that, if I say, hey, I need you to come to a training camp, to help these under 21s and under 18s, they should be saying, hey, you know what? He's helping me get some money. Of course I can help do that. So it's a give and take. And, we're not there yet. We're trying to see. So right now I'm just trying to get our athletes, ranked in the top 10 by just going to these tournaments. So, I mean, after this one, I have 2 athletes that are going to be going to the World Combat Games in Saudi Arabia, Nathan Dos Santos, and right now the reigning world champion, Rain Faf. She will be, the 2 of them will be heading to Saudi Arabia in, I believe, October. We'll see how they do there. And then in November is the Pan American Championships in Buenos Aires, Argentina. I know there's a handful of kids of our athletes that will be going down there, because that Pan American tournament is a lot of points. So, that will help booster their rankings. I know that Felicia and Rain now are both ranked number 2 in the world. And, Nathan Dos Santos is ranked number 4 in the world. So we got some ranked athletes that are hanging in there and keeping their rankings up. So we got to, I'm hoping that I can break through with the government and help these guys financially. But yeah, we're going to have to wait and see what happens. But right now our focus is the World Junior Championships in Kazakhstan. And, let's see how these guys do.
So will there be funding for washed up masters athletes such as me and Aaron?
Probably not. Nobody looks
and
at
why not? Come on.
You know what? I'm going to give you an example. Like, we had 7 athletes compete at the Masters division in Mongolia. They did very well. But I don't think the Masters, it's not like going to the IBJJF World Masters, where if you go to that tournament, you're going to have anywhere between 15 and 20 guys in your division. When you're dealing with this tournament, however, it's really about the people who can afford to go, because there is no funding. Even with the other countries, they're not paying for masters to go, so they're paying their own way. So I mean, like, I had a girl Ashley Francis, who only had 1 person in her division, and then they ended up moving her and that girl up to another division just so that they can have more than 1 fight.
Yeah.
And when you're spending $4,000 on a plane ticket, the last thing you want is to go all the way over there and not have a match. So it's really difficult to help fund something like that, because, we could go out there and field the whole team, and our whole team, none of them have any fights. That's no good, right?
Yeah, you don't need that. So I might open up a can of worms here or controversy when I say it, but I don't give a shit. But now, last time I checked, Canada is a big country. We have a lot of different provinces, a lot of different jiu-jitsu schools, right? The biggest push that I see on an outside view, especially on the international level, has always come from Ontario. And it's been the individuals like yourself, and then we have Fernando, and then obviously Patrick Terrell taking the reins on these things. So like you guys are the prominent players to really push the movement of international competition to really grow the sport of jiu-jitsu, right? Especially in Canada. Do we, and again, this is either it's opinion or are we getting more push from other individuals from other provinces or even within our province as well to get more students or more individuals, more athletes, more coaches involved in this whole process?
Well, I would say this. We, as a whole, could probably learn a lot if we would all get along.
Can't we all just get along, Tony?
Why can't we be
See,
friends?
I'm going to be
Why
honest
can't
here.
we?
I will be honest with you guys and say this, that I don't do this to try to be any kind of a boss or a leader or any of those things. I do this because I see opportunities for our athletes. And when I say our athletes, I mean it could be anybody. What I really enjoyed at our national championships this year was we got to see a team come here from Newfoundland to participate in the tournament because their exact answer was it's the national championships and we wanted to compete in it. And I was like, man, I was so blown away by that we are reaching that far out.
That's awesome.
Of course,
That's
there was a
right?
handful. There was a handful of people there from Manitoba. It is starting to stretch itself out, and that's what I'm looking for. I'm looking for all of us to come under one umbrella. I think one of the ways that can be done, of course, is to create sporting organizations in each of those provinces and have all of them be connected to the Canadian Jiu-Jitsu Association. That is the way wrestling does it. That's the way judo does it. That's the way every other legitimate sport does it, other than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So I think that it's going to be difficult to do, and it's going to continue to be difficult to do until our sport actually has the ability to be in the Olympics, because then they'll be forced to follow that line. Right now, they're not forced. Like here in Ontario, we need to have a sport organization or we're not allowed to participate in jiu-jitsu competitions. Yeah. That's just the way it is here. I wish it was that way in every province. Unfortunately, every province does things by however they feel like it, so because of that, we have no control what happens outside of Ontario. But I think that what you're seeing is proof that having a sport organization oversee what you're doing is going to help build the sport, because where is the sport more built than it is in Ontario?
Mm-hmm. I mean, Ontario.
Nowhere.
Yeah.
Nowhere. Where are they doing a jiu-jitsu tournament right now that has 2,000 athletes like the Ontario Open? Nobody. So, I mean, if that is not proof that a sport organization is going to help, then I don't know what it is. So I can go as far back as 2009, where I was asking everybody who was anybody in these other provinces to build a sport organization. And the only person who listened was AJ Scales out in Saskatchewan. And now Saskatchewan has the Saskatchewan Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu Federation. They're connected with the Canadian Jiu-Jitsu Association, and they're doing a great job out there. So I mean, like, they're doing everything right. And now, of course, AJ out there is having his own issues with regards to, people wondering why we got to do this. But, I think at the end of the day, they just got to say, you know what, we're just going to put our foot down and make it happen and see what happens. Yeah. We have been able, with our association, have been able to buy with all that, membership money that has to come in and whatnot. We've been able to buy mats, barricades, we pay storage fees. Like, you're actually turning around and running a business now, with doing tournaments. But when our guys come, our promoters come and want to do a tournament, they have mats available, they got barricades available, they got trained referees available at their hands. It is so it's such an open box now to run a tournament in Ontario. The hardest part about trying to run a tournament in Ontario is finding a date.
Yeah. There's literally a tournament every week, every month now.
And all the tournaments do very well. So would I love to see these provinces do this? Yes, but it comes with growing pains. And I've come to the point now where I've spent a lot of time trying to tell them. I'm not telling them anymore. I'm just gonna, I'm hoping that things go in a direction that kind of forced them to do it. I know that Quebec had some issues with being able to run tournaments, but now they're back on track, and it's partly because they have a federation that is overseeing their sport. So, it is what it is. I'm hoping that they, take the step in the right direction and connect their federation with the Canadian Jiu-Jitsu Association. And then maybe we'll see a much larger contingency coming from Quebec. I know we did have one athlete on Team Canada that was from Quebec. So, I mean, I think that, New Brunswick is looking to start an association. I've got a call from Manitoba. I got a call from BC. So, I mean, we'll see what happens. I don't get all excited anymore when these people call me, but I'm hoping that I would love to see one day that the national championships happens and there's representation from all the provinces.
Yeah, and you know what? I think that'll be a really cool thing to see, especially in the future. Obviously, this will happen within time, but I think especially seeing the success of the athletes, obviously the team slowly growing bigger, sending one of the biggest junior teams. And again, it starts with the juniors, right? Like we talked about, like even with like how a school starts. It starts with your kids program, right? It kind of starts there. Maybe it manifests into something huge. So I think you're on the right steps as far as like the process. Again, it is a process. It's that good old marathon, not a sprint. And it's been a hell of a marathon, but I think you're getting in the right direction.
I mean, like, if we could get, and I want you to, like, this is the bigger picture that what I'm talking about. If we can get this sport to follow those guidelines of having a sport organization and whatnot, could you imagine if we could then now, seeing that everything is blanketed across the country, to have us go to the school system to get Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in the schools, teaching as a gym class, like basketball, like in Abu Dhabi, that's already done. In Abu Dhabi, everybody in public school and high school practices Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. They don't do basketball and soccer and all that stuff. No, it's everybody in the city of Abu Dhabi does jiu-jitsu. And that's it. Like, that is phenomenal. It's mind-blowing. But this is how much the Sheikh believes in the martial art, that he wants to empower everybody by teaching it to them. That's amazing. And I think if you could get the political stuff out of the way and get these people to practice just even the self-defense side of jiu-jitsu, we'd be way better. And not only that, but all of our schools would be bigger, because the people in public schools who like it, they will find a jiu-jitsu school to advance their level. So it only helps.
We just need to keep building the slush fund, Tony. That's all we need to keep doing.
It'll only help. It'll only help all the gyms to be able to have such a program. So
absolutely. Let's change a little. Let's change some gears now. We watched some fights together last night. Nate Diaz, Jake Paul. Give us your thoughts. We're gonna run down. We can run down the Summer Slam card. We're gonna run down everything right now, Tony.
Yeah.
But first off, give me your thoughts on Jake Paul and Nate Diaz. How did you think that was gonna go going in?
I thought it would go. I don't want to say exactly the way it did. I thought that Nate would have been a little bit more busted up than he was. I think that he gave away too many points early in the fight, but I expected him to give away points because of his fighting style. But I think he won the crowd over. I think he won the crowd over with his antics. You know, he would take the time to move in and attack, and then every time Jake Paul backed off, you know, he would indicate to the crowd that Jake Paul really doesn't want to fight. You know, he said it right at the beginning of. He said it before the fight that you know, whether I win or lose, it's a boxing match, and if it was a fight, there's no way I'm losing to this guy. And you know, that may be true, but you know, you signed up to be in a boxing competition, and you know, I think that Jake Paul did enough to win.
Yeah.
Aaron, what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on what you saw?
Like what Tony said. I thought it went exactly the way everybody might have thought it gone with Jake Paul taking a decision. I didn't think he was going to knock him out. I was surprised he knocked him down. I'll be honest with you there. I didn't see that happening, but I think I didn't see Nate Diaz like really training hard for this fight. Like I was watching some of the footage, and again, I know they don't show you stuff, right? They don't show you everything you need to see, but like just the way he was reacting, the way he's talking about the matches, and like I just didn't see it in it. I didn't think he was going to get much better than what we saw. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah, that's his style. You know, he is very nonchalant in, you know, a lot of the stuff that he does, and you know, his attitude is like, I don't give a shit. I'm just gonna go out there and fight. You know.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I don't think, you know, he probably got a pretty good payday.
Oh,
so
I'm sure he made the money that he needed to make that he wasn't going to get from the UFC at all, right?
Yeah.
I think he can make more potentially on his own because he's going to walk out of there like, you know, hey man, he didn't fucking beat me. I fucking put him in the guillotine at the end of the match.
Yeah.
Like, what do you expect?
Yeah, that was
bitch. What do you? So
Yeah.
now there was also talk that there could be a potential rematch down the line, but potentially in MMA. Now I don't see that happening. But gentlemen, what are your thoughts on that?
No way. No
way.
You are not going to see Jake Paul do an MMA fight. Period.
No, it won't happen. I don't think so.
Not going to happen.
I don't think so either.
You know, I don't care what they say. That's just not going to take place, and you know, for good reason. You know, but if I would say that he should fight anybody in the boxing world or for boxing, it would have to be, can't remember his name right now. Vitor Belfort. That's it. Ooh. I would love to see that. Vitor Belfort and Jake Paul. That's the fight.
Oh, Jesus.
Now we're gonna see.
I want TRT. Vitor
yes,
Belfort,
that's it.
though.
That's
who I want to see, though. I don't want to see Wada USADA Vitor. No, not that one. I want TRT Vitor.
I want the equivalent of like on The Simpsons, Mike Tyson versus Secretariat in international waters.
Yeah, wasn't it Vitor Belfort who just fought like who was the world heavyweight champion? Oh my goodness, the guy who got his ear bit by Tyson. What's his name?
Oh, he fought Evander Holyfield. Yeah,
yeah, he fought Evander Holyfield and just fucked him up.
Oh, he did.
Yeah.
He dispatched Evander Holyfield. Mind you, Evander Holyfield could be his
like 50. He's 50.
Yeah, like, you know, why
he's over 50.
Why Evander's taking that fight, I have no idea, but whatever. You know, but I mean, like,
his ass is broke, motherfucker. That's why he's taking that fight.
Right after that fight, he called.
He needs some of that OJA slush fund money, Tony. That's what.
Right after he beat.
He's 57.
Yeah,
Jesus.
But Vitor, right after Vitor beat him, he called out Jake Paul. So, you know, but we don't hear Jake Paul saying anything about it.
Yeah, Vitor's smart. Yeah. Like, and Jake Paul's, I think, a little smarter and be like, yeah, I'm not doing that. That doesn't sound like fun.
No. Yeah.
Like,
no, that I think that's actually a fight I would like to watch. That if we're gonna see Jake Paul fighting all these MMA guys,
yeah, they're gonna continue to fight MMA guys. Fight him, you know. instead of these guys who are so long in the tooth and, average boxers, but yeah, I'd like to see that. He won't, but he won't drop that. He won't do that.
No. Now here's a real question for you. Do you think Mark Zuckerberg and Elon Musk actually happens, or do you think this is all just
I don't know.
Promoting my feed, I'm promoting this, blah 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 blah.
I honestly haven't.
Who do you have, Tony? Who do you have?
I haven't put any energy into it whatsoever, but if I have to pick, I'm gonna have to pick Mark Zuckerberg. That's
Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
That based on age, based on he's training BJJ.
He's age, and I think that
based on that he's a robot. Like, what is it?
Just he's younger, and I see all the posts that Elon Musk is doing, but I don't see any from Mark Zuckerberg. So what that tells me that Mark is really training.
Yeah,
so
that's true.
I think they're both very smart individuals that have a lot of money and don't know what to do with it. And,
at that point, it's like, yeah, let's just fight each other. Fuck
yeah, let's just do that. Hey man, all the power to them. But I'm not putting any energy into it. If the fight actually does go down, will I watch it? Probably. Yeah. Probably.
Yeah. I think we'll all watch it.
We'll all be at Dave and Buster's watching that. Sure.
I'll get a good laugh out of that. But
that'll be another pure gold evening of entertainment.
Yeah, that probably would sell out at Pure Gold.
That would sell out at Pure Gold.
Yeah,
we'll be in the front row watching that one. Another topic is another MMA fighter had another MMA fight was Ronda Rousey this weekend, and
if you want to call it that,
want to call it that. Now I don't know.
On the Summer Slam show, they touted it as MMA rules. It was Ronda Rousey against Blackheart. What's her name?
Shayna Baszler.
Shayna Baszler, who was also a former MMA fighter. Who knows?
Ultimate fighter, competitor.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if they're good friends.
They are, yeah.
They did a work in the WWE there and finished with Shayna Baszler choking out Ronda Rousey, which is kind of funny because that would never really happen in real life. But it was fun to watch to see. One get put in an arm bar and the other one's like, about to tap. It was just, watching two real MMA fighters work a fight was kind of funny to watch.
Yeah, it was quite interesting because I was like, how are they going to make this work? And it looked like an MMA fight that was just like, okay, I'm going to kick you hard here. Oh, I'm going to go head kick, fall out of the ring. Like, I was like, what are we doing? I guess at this point. Oh my God. This is terrible.
But hey, it's pro wrestling, sport entertainment. You know what I mean?
That's what it is.
If they're getting paid good money, it's funny for those people who are wrestling fans. Will watch other wrestlers do this and be excited and cheer for them. And it's hard for me to do that with these two ladies because we know what they're really capable of.
Mm-hmm.
And so watching them work a fight, knowing that, that's not how it goes down, was kind of weird to watch. But, having said that, I could watch two pro wrestlers. I could watch Hulk Hogan and Ric Flair go at it doing the exact same thing and be like, oh, that's cool. Because it's pro wrestling.
I think the thing is like there's professional wrestling and then there's MMA. But then when you have like a worked MMA fight, like it doesn't really count. Like it's either got to be like you're doing MMA and it's a shoot as they call it, or it's professional wrestling and everybody knows it's a work and it's entertainment and like you're there to watch a show and you have a good time. But I think when you mix the two, like it just doesn't come off well. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, like for the people who like us who actually train, we didn't see any value in that last night. We were probably just laughing and watching.
We were just like, what the fuck is this? We're watching.
But for those wrestling fans, they thought it was cool,
Yeah.
So
I think there was actually a lot of wrestling fans that were shitting on it because they were like, it looked like a really, really phony work fight. Ironically, at SummerSlam, where all the other matches are worked matches.
yeah, they're all worked matches. We saw Brock Lesnar in there as well, who gravitated to MMA, and he lost his match too to a guy half his size. So I mean,
Yeah.
again, it's all entertainment, and if we can look at it for what it is, you can enjoy it for what it is. But I just watching the fact that they were calling it MMA rules, it just really deflated.
Yeah, it was interesting, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know if you guys have ever seen like footage from like Russia where they actually show MMA matches that have like purely like they are works, because you see guys get like knocked out or like submitted by these very questionable calls and referees step in way too fast. And so like, because they're all bets, right? And so all these guys are fighting, and then you'll just see somebody get clipped by this weird punch and the guy's knocked out unconscious and he doesn't move.
Oh, so what
yeah.
you're saying that these guys are taking a dive.
Oh, they're like dives everywhere. Like it's
yeah,
insane.
that's no good. That's no good.
Like it's like legit dives like in the ring. It's like, and there's complications where they basically bring everything in, and it's like they show it like bit by bit, and it's like, no, that he barely touched him, he fell down.
Yeah,
it's like it's pretty bad.
That's not good.
No, because then that's money, right?
Yep.
All mob money, though. Mob money.
Shout out to Putin and his MMA ring that he's running.
Yeah. All right. I got one last thing before we go. We got a big MMA card, which is oddly on a fucking Thursday.
MMA card?
No, sorry, a grappling card that's on a Thursday.
Tony's boy is hooking up Who's Number One.
So
Who's Number One? FloGrappling.
And here's the thing. There hasn't really been in much promotion about it. I'll be completely honest with you.
About what show are we talking about?
Again, we got Flo, who's number one?
Meregali. Who's number one show?
Yeah. Exactly. Nobody knows about it. That's happening.
I'm going to be honest with you. On my end, I really don't follow, I guess, the international scene of grappling, if you will. So all these shows like Who Number One and whatnot out there, unless somebody comes to me and says, hey, so and so is fighting, I don't really go out of my way to sit down and watch it. I always hear about it after the fact. But unless there's isn't there a match coming up that involving Dante Leon and another Canadian kid?
Yes,
Ethan Carlinston and from B Team, and Dante Leon, who is now training in the States.
If I remember correctly, isn't Ethan actually Canadian as well?
Ethan is actually Canadian. He was born, I believe, born and raised in Montreal, Tony.
So yeah, that's a great match to see two Canadian guys going at it.
For the lightweight 155, Who's Number One title. I don't know how official these titles are, but
why is this not being advertised? I don't know. They're both Canadians. I know that they practice in the United States, so probably don't know them. But Dante Leon in particular, we know him very well. He grew up, competing in our tournaments here in Ontario for the longest time. I've refereed a lot of his matches. And he's done very well for himself. He's probably the first, black belt adult world champion, albeit no gi, but still first, the first adult black belt world champion. That's a big feat, So why, I don't know. Who's number one is on FloGrappling, right?
That is correct.
It is, and we have I think Kaynan Durate is going to be fighting Nicholas Meregali. That's going to be a big fight.
That's a big fight. Yeah.
That is a really big fight. And then you got Renee Sousa, who submitted Kieran Kachuk at one of the last Who's Number Ones. He's going to be fighting Nicky Ryan. It's aka Gordon Ryan's little brother.
Yeah.
So that'll be another big fight. Tony, give me some of your thoughts on some of these matches, on some of these real fights.
You know what? I mean, I'm a big fan of Nicky Ryan. I think he's phenomenal. So I mean, I would never bet against that kid. He's really, really good in my opinion. And but again, like I said, I haven't seen him in a little while on the competition side, and with the separation of with B Team and Gordon and his crew, kind of things kind of are all over the place, if you will. But when you drop a name like his, it's a fight you want to watch, in my opinion. I have obviously Nicholas Meregali is a huge name in our sport, both gi and no gi. So anytime he's fighting, you want to watch that. Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that this event, when is it happening?
Thursday, August 10th.
Oh, it's coming up this Thursday.
Yeah, it's this Thursday.
Yeah, this
that's
Thursday, August 10th.
Wonder why they're doing that.
I also just think it's weird having an event on a Thursday.
Yeah, why is it on a Thursday? That's kind of strange, but
weird.
Like, are they just like, are they just trying to not compete with like Saturday night shows like MMA,
but
UFC?
There's nothing on. Like, that's the thing. Like, it's summertime. There's nothing on right now.
Yeah.
Or if anything, if you want to avoid weekends, why don't you just do Friday night instead?
Yeah.
Well, Friday night would be a better night to watch, but yeah, I don't know. I guess the better question is, why isn't FloGrappling promoting this more?
I think they are. It's just like, I really like, this is actually one of the first cards they've done in a while, and it looks like a pretty good card, and there hasn't really been the press that you have seen previously.
Yeah, maybe they need to do more WWE stuff and get the fighters to hate on each other a little more, and get that hype up. You know what I mean? Like, hey, it's
you know what it is. I think they need to do another 3-hour match that will eventually have to get moved off the actual mat floor and into a corner of the fucking hotel, and then let them fucking fight for another hour and a half, and then let the main event of the actual show go on. I think that's,
there's like a janitor like sweeping up in the middle of the night. There's still 2 guys rolling.
It's like, oh my God. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Like,
there has to be
I'm all for like the 45-minute thing, because like when you see pure jiu-jitsu, but like when you guys got guys going for hours, it's like, fuck off. Okay, I'm done with
it. Those are the reasons why rules are put in place and time limits are put in place. And I think that part of the reason why the JJIF, like this year, they shortened the time limits from 6 minutes to 5 minutes for adults, because they want to see action. However, what they did, the caveat to that was, if it ends a full draw after the 5 minutes, it goes to sudden death overtime. First score wins.
The first score.
First score wins, and even an advantage. If you score an advantage, it's over. So
does it start standing?
You start standing, right? That makes it somewhat exciting, if you ask me. It does bring the wrestling element into the game, but because you're in the gi, you can still pull guard. So I mean, if you get a penalty, the match is over. So you would hate to want to be in overtime and golden score and accidentally grab the guy's pants on inside. It's over. You lost. So I mean, but hey, why is it not? I mean, isn't our buddy Ricardo Amendolia work for FloGrappling?
I think so. I think he does work for them.
Like, why isn't he promoting such a great match like Dante Leon and Krellinston? I think that he should be pushing that, getting people to watch that, right?
And like, these are really good questions, and I think it kind of comes back into that same kind of realm like we talked about earlier, where it's just like, there's so many great talents and voices in Ontario and Canada, and it's like, I think everybody, if in order to move the sport along, it's like, I think everybody's just got to work together to really push that movement more than anything, rather than being like, oh, this is my realm, this is how I deal with it, and I'm going to stick in my lane.
Well, I mean, I like to think I stick in my lane. But it's, I'm the first person that's not going to go out there and say, oh, look what I'm doing for the sport of jiu-jitsu. I'm doing it. I'm not doing it to praise anybody else. I'm doing it because I think these athletes need to get that exposure, whether it be amateur or professional. And while I personally focus on the amateur side, I think there is a professional jiu-jitsu side. You look at a kid like Kieran Kachuk,
Mm-hmm.
who has been, making a lot of waves for himself. I think he's been doing a great job out there participating and competing. And fucking nobody's talking about it. And I think it's ridiculous that he's forced to go to, these competitions in the US and to make a name for himself, when you're supposed to have, people here who have the ability to put him on a pedestal and they don't, So, I mean, and I'm not even going to get into that part of it,
Yeah.
but, I was just, I just recently watched him fight at the Oshawa Super Fight show. And before that, he fought at ADCC Ottawa. And both times he lost to an athlete out of Quebec. And I'm like, who the fuck are these guys? Like, why don't we know these guys? Like, because Kieran is a stud.
Mm-hmm.
And Kieran got submitted by some guy. I think his name was Pierre Leclerc out of
Yeah.
Out of Montreal.
He trains out of TriStar. He also trains out of B Team. I think he also is a training partner of Ethan
So
Crelinson. He's also like a very big up and comer as well.
So I mean, like, I know his name from the tournaments in the past, but like, why isn't he getting pushed? Why isn't Kieran getting pushed? On the professional level, why isn't Brienne Saint Marie getting pushed on these levels? Like, who is the person who is supposed to be, advocating for these athletes on the professional level? You know, shouldn't it be somebody, like a Ricardo who should be putting these guys up and doing everything they can. I don't get paid to you know promote athletes. I think that the most that we can do for these athletes, they would appreciate it more. So I mean, I don't follow the pro level like some other people do, but you know, as somebody who doesn't follow the pro level, I know who Kieran is. I got to see who this guy Pierre is. I know who Dante Leon is. I know who these guys are. I know, what they mean to the jiu-jitsu community here in Canada. So, you know, um, who knows why these guys aren't getting the push. And I think there's other people that are not discovered yet that are out there. So it's just, I think that, there's a show coming up. I think that we as a province, as a country, if you will, need to promote these types of shows to help get them on the same level as a Who's Number One, so that our athletes get recognized. I know there's obviously the issue of payment. I don't know what the pay structure is like at a Who's Number One show. I think it's something that our athletes would need to be able to get that same type of compensation, but at the same time it requires people to buy the tickets to go. I used to run a show, the Canadian Submission Expo, and man, it was hard to get 300 people in the building. And if you can't get 300 people in the building at $20, how are you going to pay athletes to fight on the shows? So it's there's a lot of logistics to make shows like this work. I think Fernando's got a great, system in place. But I think much like we send athletes to the JJIF Worlds because we want to see the sport grow, I think if you guys want to see these athletes grow, we need to support those shows. We need to send the athletes. We need to send spectators their way. We need to fill these buildings. I can guarantee you that if it was sold out and we ran a show sold out and aired it online, the Americans would notice, and they'll be like, "Ooh, what's that show up there in Canada?" You know, but because it's dead, nobody really, no, it's not on the radar. I guarantee if the place was packed and the place was crazy loud, like I've been to shows here in Ontario where, Pat Cooligan will put on a show and it's packed, it's crazy loud. Jesse Top did a show up in the middle of nowhere. It was packed, crazy loud. The problem was it was filled with blue belts and purple belts and white belts, right? And while there's fans in there that want to see them because they're friends and family, the people abroad don't care to see that because it's not, in their mind, the next level of jiu-jitsu. This is more of a grassroots show. And I think we got to find a way to get the next level jiu-jitsu shows like Ace to be filled like the grassroots shows that Pat does and Jesse does. Because they got 450, 500 rammed in there. They got tables of people dressed up in funny suits. Like they're having fun with it. You know what I mean? Like, so how do we get a show like Ace filled to the brim? How do you do that? I think that's the remedy. That's what we got to figure out. Once we can figure that out, you're going to see more exposure. And not only that, but athletes want to fight at packed shows. So I can guarantee you, a guy who is, maybe a brown or a black belt would love to fight on that show for nothing because he knows it's packed.
Yeah. No, and you make a big thing, and that's the athletes, everybody promoting the event, and again, it's getting people packing those things. That being said, everybody, August 20th, we have our next Ace Jiu-Jitsu show. Mike and I are going to be there. Tony will be there as well. So as we're talking about it, that's a big thing that we want to help promote as well. So August 20th, we have I think it's an 8-man black belt bracket that's happening. There's a lot of super fights that are actually happening during that actual match. So get your tickets. Let's get going. This is the only way the sport grows is by spectators and butts in the seats, but athletes promoting and pushing their cards as well. And letting everybody know that they're fighting.
I'm going to say this as well. Like, hey, if you're on this card, you need to be doing some fucking promotion because if there's probably going to be some people who are going to be listening to this. Maybe you're a little pissed off that they're not making any money. Well, guess what? A lot of that onus is on you to promote your fights, promote the show, get more people into the stands, and in turn, guess what? You'll get paid. You will get something out of this more in the long term. You want to see jiu-jitsu grow professionally. That's how you do it.
I used to do the Sub-X show, and I can honestly say with everything new going on in my life, I probably won't do one in the near future. But it's partly because there's probably no money in it. It's hard to put the time in to put fight cards together, get everybody happy because fighters are never happy. And then when it's all said and done, the money doesn't come in, and you throw some money, some people, some way, and when it's all said and done, there's nothing left for you, and you did all that work for what, right?
Yeah, so, you sponsor a few athletes, Tony, by hey, I'll hook you up with hey, let's you can do like a trip or like a sponsorship package, but then when it's all said and done, what's left for the promoter as well? Because at the end of the day, it's got to be a two-way street.
Exactly.
Let's say I'm going to run a show, Aaron's going to run a show, Tony's going to run a show. We can't do it for free. And if some athletes are expecting that, well, guess what? As myself as an athlete, as a businessman, and as a promoter.
Athlete? What?
Yeah, as a washed-up athlete.
Washed up. Okay.
Masters 5 athlete.
Yeah.
And if I'm going to run a show, guess what? I would like to make something out of it for my time. I want to help as many athletes as possible at the same time. But at the same time, you also need to make money too. So it's a two-way street.
Yeah, I don't. I wish Fernando all the best and Jeff all the best when they do their show. Their idea is in the right right area. Of course, they want to build the sport. They want nothing more than to fill the seats and be able to help, compensate some of these athletes. But at the end of the day, in my opinion, like he's gone out of his way to make a point to only have brown and black belts on his show. And that just makes it even more difficult to do a show. Whereas I would do an event, I would have 4 blue belt fights, 4 purple belt fights, 4 brown belt fights, 4 black belt fights. I'd have 16 matches on my show, and that was it. I never paid my blue and purple belts, ever. Never paid them. They were happy to be on the show. And I think that's the way it should be. These are the same people who, a week later will pay $100 to go and fight at the Oshawa Open. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you want to go on Fight on a Show for free where you have the opportunity to display your skills to the fans out there in Ontario? So, when they come to me and say, "Oh, I need to get paid," I'm just like, "Yeah, whatever. You're a blue belt. Shut up." It's ridiculous.
Aaron's laughing because he probably asked to be on a Sub X like 10 years ago. Hi, I'm a blue belt. Can I get paid? Fuck you, Aaron.
Yeah.
So it's just again, that's my opinion, but I would have been as a blue belt. I would have been happy to have been asked to fight on a super fight show against another blue belt. I think that would be great. I think you get to see all levels. I would have no problem. You probably can make more money doing a super fight show with kids than you can with adults right now, because you're guaranteed to sell 4 tickets an athlete, because mom, dad, uncle, they're all going to be there buying a ticket for $30. No problem. So who knows? It is. And you don't have to pay the kids. So,
or do you? It's child labor laws, Tony.
Yeah, right, whatever. But hey, so I feel for the guys who want to do shows and who do shows, because they're not easy. It's tough. And, aside from putting all your own students on a card, which, has its own pros and cons, you are really up against it when you try to do those shows. But I think that there's something there with what Fernando's doing. Fernando's not trying to do just a show. He's trying to do an elite show. And that makes it very difficult.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I think we covered a lot today, especially like with Ace Jiu-Jitsu coming down the pipeline, which is a big thing. We talk a lot about the international scene as far as the Canadian team, which is seeing some amazing growth. And then obviously international, and the most important thing of the evening, which was Nate Diaz versus Jake Paul.
Yeah.
But Tony, I want to thank you so much for coming on the show again. I really do appreciate it. Mike really appreciates you. We look forward to having you on the show again, bringing lots more conversations and all that jazz. But I
want to say 2 things before I go. First, I want to push my GTA Classic that's coming up September 9th. It's always a great tournament being held at the Brampton Soccer Center. We're so happy to get that venue back. You can go on Smooth Comp and register for that. And aside from that, man, hey, jiu-jitsu is good. It's nice to see that it's starting to work its way back pre-2020. And I'm very excited to see what the future holds. We're going to continue as an association with the Ontario Jiu-Jitsu Association to bring referee courses and rules courses back, both in person, and we're going to try start doing them on Zoom like we are here. We're getting that set up as we speak. And I really am looking forward to the rest of this year and, of course, the 2024 season.
Yeah. And there's another thing that me and Tony are doing. It's an academy, and it's called It's called
We'll stop it.
Aaron's gonna edit it out.
I already edited this whole podcast.
Yeah. It's called Grappling Art.
Okay. That's okay. Mike will see you at Lunchcast Wednesday.
You got 1578.
Absolutely. Well, Tony, I do appreciate it.
Here, worse than Bill C11 by Justin Trudeau. Grappling Art's like a Aaron, stop, man. I'm trying to hype my own gym here.
I already stopped the recording. It's fine. All right, boys. It's been a pleasure. I really do appreciate you both coming on tonight. Tony, I will see you soon. If anything, I'll see you on August 20th. Mike, I'll probably see you before then. Anyways, boys, have a great night, and we'll talk soon.
All right,
Please
you guys.
come to crap like a bee.
You guys take care.
Everybody, thank you so much for listening. We'll talk to you guys soon. See you on the mat. Have a great day.